When you sit with the intention of what many call meditating, we'd like to offer a different label to it because there's resistance even in the idea of that. But if you can decide that you want to quiet your conscious mind enough so that the non-physical mind that is purely focused upon all that you've become and the wholeness of who you are, if you can find a way of tuning into the vibrational frequency of that, those vibrations, once you learn to sit there for a little bit within them, will begin to turn to thoughts. And when those thoughts come, you will feel and understand, while we don't want you to focus very much upon them, the pleasure and the satisfaction of that thought. And as you sit there, not distracted by current, what you want to call reality, but experiencing the whole of your now vibrational reality, what's in your vortex will be able to make its way into your manifested world through the pathway that is your non-contradicted mind. Does that sort of make sense to you? So, have you ever sat to meditate? Do you sometimes do that? Are you doing it on a semi-regular or regular basis? And when you sit to meditate, when someone suggested to Jerry and Esther that they meditate, as soon as they got away from that person in the car, they said, "That's just weird." Jerry said, "I think of myself more as a business person." Meditation just seemed weird to them. That was many years ago, and to many it still seems weird today. But it's because there's not an understanding of what it means. Meditation, if you understand it, and you're about to, will take you back to the core vibration that is unchallenged by beliefs that are keeping you from what you want. Meditation will take you to the vibrational frequency that your inner being is, and as you're able to maintain it for a little bit, law of attraction will bring momentum to that. So when we talk about law of attraction, what we're really talking about is momentum. We're really talking about you being at some starting point, and law of attraction bringing the next and 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 the next. So if you're irritated by something, law of attraction will bring you more and 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 more of things like that. If you are in love with life, law of attraction will bring you more and 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 more of that. But we love you so much. We love you so much. You are sloppy in your thinking. You are reactive in your thinking. You are letting everything in the world be the reason that you are offering the vibration that you're offering, and then you are in opposition to what you really want. You can't get there from there. So, when you sit to quiet your mind, at first it's very difficult because your mind has been trained to be responsive to your environment. But when you quiet your mind, and what that requires is focusing upon something quieter. Esther sat to meditate yesterday, and she had a load of clothes in the washing machine, and a door closed, but she could still hear the clanging and the banging of the zipper on the jeans. And it kept her from being able to withdraw from her physical experience. Just something that simple. And she thought, well, it'll stop in a minute, but it didn't. It was an hour and 12-minute cycle. And so it wasn't a good choice of a time or a place for her to intend to quiet her mind. If your telephone's going to ring, it's not a good time or a place to sit to meditate. You want to find a time when you are not likely to be interrupted, in a space where you can really control the environment a bit. It's good if you can shut out the things that you're mostly physically attracted to. So as you sit in this comfortable position, it doesn't matter what it is as long as it's comfortable, and as long as you believe that you can maintain it for at least 15 minutes without needing to squirm around, sit in a comfortable place with one intention, and that is to let your mind be still. And when your mind wanders, and it will, just focus upon the idea that you want your mind to be still. Now, we have noticed, as we've watched so many of you, that it is really helpful if you can find something to focus upon that isn't much to think about, Like even a ticking of a clock is a pretty good thing, or the dripping of a faucet is a pretty good thing, or if you want your eyes to be open, it's really better if they're closed, a flickering of a flame. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it's not very much. So it has your attention, but it doesn't bring a lot of attention. You get the idea. Find something that is easy for you to focus upon, that's not very thought-provoking, and then just focus on it until you receive the sign that you have quieted your mind. And that sign is a physical, visceral feeling of detachment from this time and place. It feels like numbness. It feels like floating. It feels like a suspension of gravity. It feels like detachment. It feels like soothing. It feels delicious. So Esther is sitting there, and once she achieves that state, she begins to realize that some intention other than her own is making motions with her physical body. In other words, she's not deliberately thinking about what she's going to do with her physical body. Something else is. That broader perspective is. That quieted mind is. And once she feels that detachment and begins to feel that, and you will in a day or two or three or four or five, you will feel that. And here's the advantage to you. When you get to that place where you are mindless, you are thoughtless, and the non-physical part of you now is the dominant part of your vibration, you are in a state of utter well-being just for a moment, and you are not doing anything with your physical noticing, with your physical senses, that's distracting from that base of well-being. Now you see, the thing that's so wonderful about allowing, it might take you 15 minutes to get there, and you might only be there a minute or two before your meditation time is up, but that's enough. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. It's just important that you get there, because when you get there, you've pushed the reset button. You have given yourself an opportunity to have detachment from the vibrations that are hindering you. And that rut that Esther found in her knowing what she didn't want and trying to find what she did want is now a little softer. It's less likely that she's going to stay in that rut once finding that. You see what we're getting at? We can feel that you're not feeling very engaged in the idea of this, but the reason that we're sticking with this subject anyway, even though you might be feeling little resistance to it, is because we know that if you will allow yourself that quieted place, it's like a high-rise building that somebody has told you is not steady on its foundation, and so you just put more rebar up in the top of it and more concrete and try to guy it out, maybe to sky hooks or to other buildings or maybe to the ground. But if the foundation of that building isn't secure, it's not going to stand in that secure place very long, and neither are you. And meditation will take you back to your primal, not quite the right word, but you know what we mean, to your grounded, not quite the right word, but you know what we mean, to the very base, to the core of you, to the vibrational center of that which you are, to the goodness that is you, to the whole that is you, to the vibrational reality that is you, to your inner being who knows everything that you are wanting and knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want. So now you find that vibrational place, that sort of detached place, and once you are pretty good at getting there. Have you ever gotten there? You know what we're talking about? Once you are pretty good at getting there, what you will notice, if you will allow yourself to stay in that vibrational place for a little bit, is that the vibration will begin to turn to thoughts. Thoughts will begin to occur to you, and you will know the perfection of those thoughts because of the way they feel as they come across your mind. Now, when the thought comes, don't try to think about it. You're in the receiving mode. Receive the thoughts. Receive the thoughts. Let your vibrational reality and your inner being be the deliverer of the thoughts. You are the receiver of the thoughts. And as you allow yourself to be the receiver of the thought, and you don't contradict the thought by, oh, I wonder if that was my thought, or if that was my inner being's thought, or I wonder if I really thought that, or who thought that, or was that a good thought, or was that a bad thought? I don't even know if I'm thinking good thoughts or bad thoughts. I'm not sure. Just let it be. And as you just let it be, law of attraction and momentum will cause that thought to become more and more and more, until an idea will explode in your mind that will make you say, this meditation's over, I got places to go, things to do, people to see. In other words, you'll find yourself very soon feeling enlivened for the day. And it doesn't take more than about a week of that, and we're only talking about 15 or 20 minutes, before, as you begin your day like that, then everything in your day, these ruts that you've been in relative to different relationships or different situations, will begin to soften out. They will begin to dissipate. The problems will dissipate. And if you don't get too carried away in taking score of what's dissipating, and instead you just enjoy, you just find the satisfaction factor in finding your clarity and your strength. Besides what's happening with your mind, you allowing thoughts to turn to things, your physical apparatus is being rejuvenated. You are in the replenishing mode. Everything about your experience is being enhanced and improved because you are allowing yourself a respite from the contradictory thoughts that you didn't even know you had, that are in the form of beliefs that you've picked up along your physical trail in defense of the world that you are defending yourself against. You must be defenseless to be in the receiving mode. And that feels so weird, because that sounds like, oh, but what if there are bad things trying to get me? And we say, the thing is, no bad things are even after you unless you're thinking about them. So when you defend yourself against them, you're putting more thoughts that you need to defend against. You sort of kind of get what we mean by that? There is no law of assertion. There's only a law of attraction. Nothing is being asserted into your experience. It is all being attracted into your experience. And so, oh, it's such a good time to return for a little while every day to the true nature of your being, where you allow the full force of goodness and wisdom and clarity to demonstrate in your day-to-day experiences. It is our promise to you that you will notice an improved manifested state right away. But we don't want you to take score, because we want for a little while your attention to be off of your manifested state. We want your attention for a little while to be upon your vibrational basis, because vibrations turn to thoughts and thoughts turn to things, and the satisfaction factor of releasing resistance and sitting there in that soup of well-being is satisfying. And when a thought comes into your mind that's about well-being and love, when it's a thought that you can't even articulate, it's just a feeling of well-being, that's a satisfaction. And when that thought turns to a thought of something that you're appreciating, and you allow yourself to just ponder that thing that you're appreciating, there's satisfaction. And then when that thought gathers up another thought or two, and you begin to feel enthusiasm in your experience, that's satisfaction. And then when you move out into the day, and your timing is better than it's ever been, that's satisfaction. When you find timing everywhere you go, that's satisfaction. And you're the only one that will be witnessing it, because you're the only one that really knows what you've been asking for. But as it is demonstrated to you, not because you finally deserve it, but because you finally allow what you do deserve. So we know that was long. We also know it is the most important thing that you've ever heard, because, friends, you're trying, we know you are, you're trying to break through, but you're not starting with enough momentum. Start back here and you'll gain the momentum that equals the energy that creates worlds. And one who is connected to that kind of stream is more powerful than millions who are not. You can be a force for the goodness that you are. You can be a demonstrator of the well-being that is for everyone to receive. But you've got to allow yourself enough momentum that you're not distracted by the next thing that comes along, or the next thing that someone says. So let's say you're standing in a current reality that does not have as much money at your fingertips as you desire or as you need. So there's a clear shortage of dollars, and you want more dollars. You've been talking about it, You've been complaining about it. You're annoyed at others who have enough. You bond with others who don't have enough. There's something that you believe is central to your experience that is right now missing from your experience. And so you decide you're going to do something about it. So you come to a gathering like this. There are a lot of teachers around that are teaching you prosperity, teaching you how to be more mindful or more purposeful or more in the now. The world is rampant with people with great ideas. So you show up somewhere and you decide to set your goal for X number of dollars in X amount of time, and you want it, and you rev yourself up, you hype yourself up, you say all the right words, you affirm it, you affirm it, you affirm it. I am prosperous. You lie to yourself. This is going to be easy, you say. The universe is just going to rain it down upon me. But what's going wrong here is that you haven't become ready to be 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 ready. You jumped into your own creation at the manifestation stage. You just jumped right in, looked around, said, don't like this, need this, don't like this, need this, don't like this, need more of this, need more of this, goal, 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 goal. Okay, I'm ready. But you're not ready because you are still more vibrationally active in where you are. In other words, your current reality and your attention to it is causing you to offer a constant vibration that doesn't allow you to be in the receptive mode. You got to be ready 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 to be ready. You can't just jump in over here. Here's a way that you can sort of kind of get what we're talking about. Have you ever done quite a bit of research on something or had quite a bit of life experience about it and therefore found quite a bit of success for yourself about it? And in any event, this subject is clear within you, it's working for you, and you feel pretty stable in your knowledge about this thing. And now you're visiting with someone who wants to know what you know, but hasn't had the experience, hasn't had the focus. They're what feels to you like very far from understanding what you know, and you just knock yourself out every time you get together. It's the most frustrating experience for you. You make notes of what you're going to say. You explain it in the best possible way that you can. You give examples that are valid and stimulating and informative and educating, and they just argue with you. And the more you make the point of what you know to be, the more they make a counterpoint, and nothing ever changes within them, and you leave frustrated. And this is the phrase, the operative word that we would like you to leave this gathering with today. You can't get there from here. You cannot get there from here. We've really enjoyed visiting with you. Good luck with this. You can't get there from here. Now, Abraham, what's happened to you? You used to be our optimistic mentor. What do you mean? You said I can be or do or have anything that I want. What do you mean I can't get there from here? Here's what we mean. If you are going to approach your creation from a what is manifested state, and what is manifested, what is surrounding you, is the opposite of what you want or the absence of what you want, and that's the point at which you're jumping in, there is so much momentum that is happening that you can't think your thoughts around it. Oh, you've tried. You can't take enough action to compensate for that avalanche of steady thoughts that you're thinking in opposition to yourself. You sort of kind of get what we're talking about? And if you've ever been in an argument with someone who is seeing things from a different point of view, and you felt the frustration of them just not listening, they're just not even trying to get what you're saying, that's what you do to yourself all day, every day. You're not even trying. You're not even trying. Your own beliefs are arguing with your own desires. And sometimes you say, well, this sounds hard, Abraham, because my own beliefs, I got that one when I was really little, when my stepfather beat the hell out of me on a regular basis. That's when I picked that one up. And I got that one when I lived with my parents who never had enough money, who always complained about not enough money, who taught me frugality to the point of miserishness. And so I've had some of these beliefs for such a long time. How can I bridge those beliefs? And we say, you got to start at a more neutral, less biased, less active vibrational place. That's why we and so many teachers teach meditation, because when you quiet your mind, you stop thought, and when you stop thought, you stop resistant thought. And so a really good meditation is a meditation where you do quiet your mind. Now some of you say, I try to meditate, but I've got this wild and crazy mind that just won't settle down. It will after a while. Give it 15 minutes today, and it might or it might not, but give it 15 minutes tomorrow, and it might not, but give it 15 minutes the next day, and it might not, but let that be your intention. Listen to the air conditioner condenser that's that little hum in your house, or look at a flickering light on something, or watch a candle, or count your own breaths in and out. Just get focused upon something that's not that interesting, but that will hold your attention until your mind settles down. And when your mind settles down, the physical sensation for you, because when your mind settles down, you will be in the receiving mode of allowing a fuller connection between you and your own inner being, you and source energy. And as you settle down, you'll begin to feel that feeling of connection. When Esther first meditated on that very first day, it felt like numbness. It felt like detachment. She couldn't tell her nose from her foot. She couldn't feel the chair beneath her, although she was fairly certain it was there, but she was not focused upon it. She was just existing in a sort of state of mindlessness. Now, it might take you a little while, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days, might take you a whole week if you'll meditate for 15 minutes until you find that sort of feeling of detachment. But when you do, the remarkable thing that will happen to you is that you will have started in a place that you can get there from. If you start in a vibrational place of mindlessness, then the dominant mind that is really you, the source energy mind that is you, will be the mind that it is. And in your mindlessness, meaning in your releasing all of the thoughts that you've been thinking that have been holding you apart from this whole of who you are, it's like the cork that you hold under the water. When you let go of it, it bobs back to the top. It's like that. When you're not worrying about money, or when you're not remembering how mad you are at that person, or when you're not dreading doing something, or when you're not throwing your remote at the television, when you are in a place of mindlessness, and by that we mean your own human conscious mind focused on something, when you are not thinking your own thought, when you are in that state of mindlessness, your source energy will be the dominant vibration within you. You got ready for that. You're getting ready for that just by listening to us. And when you sit and you do that, you'll get it. And when you come back into your full consciousness after having found that, you'll feel better. You will feel a sense of satisfaction. Hold the satisfaction word in your mind. We're going to come back around to it many times today. So you feel satisfied. Now that's enough. Don't sit there and meditate all day. You'll make yourself crazy, and your mind is not designed that way. Your mind is designed to focus. So just take that as that I got ready to be ready, and I was ready, and then get on with the other things that you're about, because there are many things that you already have momentum about. You got kids to feed and employers to pretend like you're serving, and you have a lot going on in your experience. So then the next day when you meditate, same thing, only this time it will be easier for you, because now you know the feeling that you're reaching for, and when you find it, you may be there a little longer. If you meditate for 15 minutes, maybe the first day 14 and a half minutes you won't have gotten there, but the second day around 12 or 13 minutes you may find yourself in that place. So get there, and when you come out of meditation, don't think during meditation, it's counterproductive, but when you come out of meditation, say to yourself, well, I got ready to be ready, and I was ready. And so just let it go like that for just a little while. Ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. Now here's what's going to happen. Right away you'll notice this. Right away, even before you get to the place where you've really got a quieted mind, just with a little bit of focus on that, a little bit more readiness to be ready, what you'll begin to notice is that those pure vibrations that are coming from your source pack a lot of wallop. And by that we mean they are powerful. This is the energy that creates worlds that you're tapping into. And your inner being is flowing this vibration toward you, knowing full well everything that you've been asking for, everything that as you've sifted through what you don't want and known what you do want, that you've thrown vibrationally into your vibrational reality. In other words, your inner being knows what you're reaching for in physical format. We're not trying to talk you out of being alive in your body, and we're not trying to talk you out, in fact the opposite is true, of not creating. We want you to create magnificent everything's that you want, relationships and empires and bank accounts and loveliness of life. We want you to create all of those things. We just want you to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, because you can't get there from here if you're not ready. If you are not able to go right back to the almost primal beginning of the root of who you are and allow that pureness to become a little more, and then become a little more, and then to become a little more, you're not going to be consciously turning thoughts to things. But once you allow yourself to get there, then what happens? So now we have to start in another place, and most of you have heard us say this, and if you haven't, we're going to say it so clearly you'll get it with this one explanation. So you came from non-physical, and here you are in your physical body, and most of you is still non-physically focused, but this important part of you is here sifting and sorting through contrast. So you know what you don't want, and you launch rockets of what you do want, and every time you launch that rocket of what you do want, your source joins you in that thought. So we've been saying for years that the creative process is step one, you must ask. That's why you're in this body sifting and sorting. It's important that you get to decide what you want, how you want to live, how you want to be, where you want to live, what kind of life you want to live, who you want to live it with, how much fun you want to have. In other words, it's important that you identify all of those things. And so when you do, at both conscious and unconscious levels, you launch these rockets of desire. And when you do, step one, then step two happens, which means source energy joins that vibrational rockets. Source energy answers, vibrationally answers, vibrationally. We are very pleased to be having this conversation with ourselves, because source energy does answer, but you got to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. Source energy is answering at a vibrational level. Source energy is not at this point saying, go to this 7-Eleven and buy these lottery tickets and scratch these things off and win this big bunch of money. Source energy can tell you that, but you got to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. You see what we're getting at? So step one is you've asked, and step two is source answers. And when you meditate, when you quiet your mind, you begin the process of being ready. But most of you are so impatient because you are such beautiful humans with these eyes and ears and noses and fingertips and tongues. You want to see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, and you want to do it now, right now. But you're not ready. You're ready for what's already manifested, to use your observational senses to sort it and sift it and look around in it. But if you are a creator does step one by using your observational senses. You look around and you define what you want, and then you launch a rocket of desire that is a vibrational rocket of desire that is in this vibrational reality, and source energy is there with it while it's gestating and becoming more. And now you've taken this such important step. You've meditated, you've quieted your mind, and you've done it enough that now you're ready to be ready to be ready. And now that vibration begins turning to thoughts. You start getting ideas. And this is the thing that we really want you to understand. This gap between where you are in terms of what you're thinking about and where your inner being is in terms of what your inner being is thinking about what you're thinking about. Did you hear that? The gap between what you're thinking about with your conscious mind and what your inner being is thinking about what you're thinking about. Your inner being isn't thinking about what somebody else is doing. Your inner being isn't thinking about what you used to do or what you someday might do. Your inner being is thinking about what you're thinking about. But your inner being is turning those thoughts to things. In other words, that's why when we say to you that your inner being knows exactly where you stand and exactly what the route is to get you from where you are to where you want to be. But in your see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it enthusiasm, You want to jump right over there and just start doing things. Esther just keeps buying another car. And then she says, I didn't think it through. It just seemed like a good idea because I was a little bored. But when your inner being, who knows what you want, is projecting a thought about what you're thinking about, and you're not contradicting it, then you have an emotional indicator that we would call satisfaction. When you feel satisfied, that means that you're ready to be ready. That feeling of satisfaction, means, now what? It's happy where I am and eager for more. And so that's really what we want to help you to come to understand. We'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. But if you get ready to be ready to be ready to be ready, then as those thoughts start coming, what you're going to notice right away is that the thoughts are really good thoughts. The thoughts feel like magical thoughts, because those thoughts not only feel satisfying and beyond satisfying to the point of enthusiasm within you, but as that enthusiastic thought begins to gain more momentum. Now, momentum is what we want you to understand that we're talking about in this whole scenario, because when you quiet your mind, you allow this subtle to you, powerful to us, momentum of source energy to begin to flow in the direction of everything that you want. And as you open yourself more to it, then the momentum of that energy will lead to the momentum of a thought, which will lead to another momentum of more thoughts, which will lead to a momentum of an idea to go somewhere, to an impulse. The momentum will lead to an impulse. The momentum will lead to a rendezvous. The momentum will lead to cooperative components from all around your physical time-space reality, rendezvousing with you and rendezvousing others with you, others who have been getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. And when you find each other, your awareness of the perfection of this rendezvous is not in question. You will not say, I need to do a financial report on you. You will not say, I need to do a background check on you. You will say, come with me, I've been looking for you for a long time. And the other one will say, me to you, because you were ready to be. So just to recap quickly, and then we want to talk to you about whatever it is you want to talk about. When you jump in over here at a place that you're not ready, and you try to use your affirmations and your mantras and your exercises and your goal setting to make things happen, you're not going to make anything happen because you're not ready for it. Your guidance system isn't there. You can't even tell what you're satisfied with. Tried that didn't work. Tried that didn't work. So now how do I guide myself? By no longer doing any of the things that didn't work, except I can't stop myself from doing the things that didn't work because I've got so much momentum. And right while I'm doing these things that I know don't work, I'm still doing the things that I know don't work. Somebody said to Esther one day, you know, a mad person is someone who just does the same thing over and over again, thinking that they're going to get different results this time. You just don't get different results from what the vibration is that you're offering. You got to get into that place of alignment and then let the momentum grow from there. In the same way that you understand, if you're building a high-rise building, you want that foundation to be solid. And if it isn't, you can retrofit the thing all you want. You can put more wire and stuff up there in the sky. You can do everything that you can to make it look better. You can paint it. You can tell lies about it. But if it doesn't have a stable foundation, it is not going to stand. And the same thing is true of your desires. Now, your desires have the most stable of foundation. Oh, we're so happy to say that to you, because you were born into this physical experience with source energy flowing with you. And when you sifted and sorted and launched those vibrational rockets, mostly not even knowing, when someone was rude, you wanted them to be nicer. When you were rude, you wanted to be nicer. When you didn't have enough of something that you wanted. In other words, you've been carving through this contrast, and you have been creating this magnificent vibrational reality. And we just want to shout so that you will hear it, although volume has never helped you. That this vibrational reality that we wanted so much for you to understand the reality of it was that we gave it the name the vortex, wrote a whole book about it, a couple of books about it. In other words, this vibrational reality, this vortex of creation, it is so stable, and it holds within it not just the beginning seeds. It holds within it the full manifestation of everything that you want, just like the kernel of corn holds everything within it to have the full stalk of corn and all of the corn that you want to eat that will come forth from it. It's all right there. You've just got to take care of it. You've just got to get your foundation right. So let's say that you've been looking for more money for about 10 years. We're asking you to give this about 2 weeks. We're asking you to use the power of the universe to get yourself into a place where a good idea can come to you, and more important, well, you will recognize it as a good idea. You can't rendezvous with the things that you want if you are vibrationally out of whack of your own desire. Esther said to someone the other day about something, you know, I know this has nothing to do with anyone else in my life. This is all me. All me. This is all about the mix of vibrations within me. Oh, that's such a wonderful and horrible thing to recognize. It's all me. It's all me. It's completely meditational doable. I just got to start at the beginning, just for a minute. I just got to start at the beginning, just for a minute. I just got to chill out. I just got to let my mind be quiet. I've just got to stop shooting my desires in the foot. I just got to stop contradicting my own desire. And I have to admit, the only way I can stop contradicting my own desire is to stop thinking about it. Because every time I do think about it, I pick up the momentum right where I am. Got to start in a new place. You never need to know anything else. Meditate, reach for happy thoughts, follow the thoughts, and live happily ever after. We're not kidding. We're not kidding. Esther reached the point where every time she meditated, we wrote something through her. In other words, she'd quiet her mind and off we'd go, because it's easy for her now to click into that energy, and you may be already there too. We just want you to understand the process. You got to start in a good feeling place, and when you start in a good feeling place, wherever that is, some of you have been listening to us for a while, and you can get to that good feeling place in a very short period of time. Just get to the good feeling place, and then get to that good feeling place, and then. So we know we took longer in this opening than you might have liked for us to, but there is never anything more important that you've ever heard anytime, anywhere. So there.